This is a summary table for Part C of practice problem number 1. This is from Unit 4, Lesson 12. Here's the whole summary table, and I divided this video into 4 parts. The first part is where the graphs of the second equations are all positive, and they start out as a large positive value, positive 5, and decrease to 0. So it's approaching a horizontal line, and a slope of 0 is a horizontal line. So that's the first part. The second part is as these lines go past the horizontal line, now the slope is negative, and the slope is increasing as a negative value. So these are getting larger in a negative direction. So the second part goes right up to here. Then the third part is when the graphs of the two lines are parallel, so negative 3/4. And the last part is once the lines go past parallel, they're continuing to increase as a negative slope, so it's getting larger in a negative direction. And notice that the difference now, rather than being negative, that difference switches to being a positive difference. Okay, so in this part, large positive slope. These lines are now decreasing in slope. They're getting flat or less slanted, and they're approaching a horizontal line. While that's happening, the difference is getting less. These lines are starting to approach are approaching a slope of negative 3/4. So that difference is getting less. And so you're dividing negative 2 by a smaller and smaller value, which is a negative value. So you're going to get a larger value for x. You're moving farther along the x-axis. So as you continue past the horizontal line, now the slopes are negative, but they're increasing as a negative value. So they're getting more and more slanted. The slope is getting larger, but it's increasing in a negative direction. But they're approaching this slope of negative 3/4. So the difference is getting smaller still. And that means that the value of x is continuing to get larger. So it gets very large. And actually, the next part is where the lines are parallel. So the slope is, or the solution is undefined. It's a parallel line. They never intersect. So this has a slope of negative 3/4, and equation 1 has a slope of negative 3/4. And finally, continue past the parallel lines. The slope continues to increase in a negative direction, or as a negative amount, go up to a slope of negative 5, so very slanted. But the difference now is increasing. It's getting larger and larger in a positive, as a positive value. So now you're taking negative 2, dividing it by increasingly larger positive amounts, and so the x-coordinate is going to get smaller. It's going to move closer to the y-axis. It's a smaller negative value. So it starts out as a large value in the negative direction along the x-axis, and this value now gets smaller and smaller and smaller as this difference gets larger and larger and larger. But this is a positive difference, so negative 2 divided by a positive number is going to give you an increasingly smaller amount, smaller negative value.